Hey everyone, Dr. JJ Greger here with drjjgreger.com. Today we're going to talk about what I call the 5 fingers of death. Those 5 fingers, really the things in your diet that shouldn't be there or that could be, keeping you from losing that weight that you want to lose or keeping you from getting healthy. Those things that really just are slowing you down, that are making you not feel good, lack of energy, any type of symptom. These 5 things probably have something to do with them. So let's dive in. First thing you need to get out of your diet, to remove from your diet, is basically anything that's made from grains. And that includes any wheat product, that includes rice, because of cross-reactivity. So those types of things, just get them out. If it's bread, if it's pasta, if it's rice, it doesn't need to be part of your diet when you're trying to get healthy. So we'll talk more about that when we talk about gluten and things like that. And keep in mind, it's not just the gluten that makes it non-palatable. So it's actually a hormone in there, or a protein in there called gliadin. So those two things coupled together really just mess up your gut, lead to things like potentially lead to irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, things like that. Really, if your gut just doesn't work well, alternating bouts of diarrhea or constipation, then you probably have some sort of gluten or gliadin sensitivity. So all things that contain that should be removed from your diet. Even if you're not gluten sensitive, that's still considered a starch. A piece of white bread produces about the same amount of sugar, not quite the same, but close to the same amount of sugar in your blood as a can of Coca-Cola. So not really the thing that you really want to shoot for when you're doing that. So that needs to get out of your diet. The second thing I tell almost every single patient that makes it into my practice to get out of their diet is corn. Corn is in everything that's processed. Needs to be gotten out of your diet. There's a lot of reasons why. It's either a Zyme reaction, which is a protein found in the corn, or it's part of the GMO aspect, or it's part of the sugar aspect. It's just, we have too much of it. And too much of a good thing ends up being a bad thing. I used to love corn as a kid, slather it with butter. It was great. But it's not the same anymore. Way too much of it in processed foods. Way too much of it in the food that we eat. The meat, the corn-fed cow. It's just way too much. It's Michael Pollan talks about it in the Omnivore's Dilemma. He calls us basically walking corn, or actually the Aztec called themselves Mazazi, which is maize, which means walking corn. So that's kind of what we're turning ourselves into. You can actually measure that with the different carbons in your hair and your skin. So not the best. We've done too much of it, so it needs to be pulled back or gotten out of your diet. Plus, that's just going to remove a lot of unhealthy foods and replace them with healthier options, getting rid of anything basically out of a package or that's been massively processed by man, and that's just getting back to nature, which is, no one can argue with me on that one. So that's the first two. The first one was gluten. Second one was corn. And gluten means grains to me. So the third thing you really have to get out of your diet is soy. Soy is just not really digestible by humans. I know the people out there, but I love my soy sauce. I love my edamame. You don't do it. There's things in there called plant-based estrogens, phytoestrogens. They have the same effect on your body as estrogen. So those things need to be pulled back out of your diet. And the reason why is just we are way too hormonally messed up in this country, and pretty much the rest of the world too. Not the most smart thing to be doing to our endocrine system is adding more estrogen or unbalancing it even further because of the stressful life that we live, because of everything else we've got going on. You just don't want to add another factor in there that can mess it up. So that's number 3. Number 4 is dairy. If you're of African or Asian descent, there's absolutely no way you can have any of it. Trust me, your skin's going to clear up. If you have psoriasis, it'll start to get better. It won't cure it, but it will start to make it better. If you're of Northern European descent, we're a little bit luckier in the fact that we can tolerate lactose for a little bit. I still find that most people are a little bit lactose intolerant because of 2 reasons. And then if you're still not lactose intolerant, you might be casein intolerant, which is the protein portion of the dairy. So probably, you know what? Give it 30 days. See if it makes you better. See if your symptoms get better. See if your rheumatoid arthritis gets better. See if your skin clears up, but that dairy, if that acne clears up because you got rid of the dairy. Those types of things. So that's the first 4 fingers of death. And the 5th is sugar. There's a whole bunch of stats out there. Is like when we were in 1700s, we ate about 4 pounds of sugar a year as a species. In the 1900s, it got up to about 120. And this decade, and actually we're halfway through the next decade, so this is my fact is actually from the 2000s. In this decade, we will probably be pushing 200 pounds of sugar a year. And that really doesn't even include all of the sugary drinks. That doesn't include high fructose corn syrup and things like that. So that's one of the major things. Type 2 diabetes, they used to, when I graduated chiropractic school, you checked it at 45. When I got into practice, you started checking it at 35, and now they're finding it in teenagers. This is probably going to be, and this is not my words, the next epidemic of disease and problems in this country. So those are the 5 fingers of death. Again, to recap, the 5 things you need to get out of your diet, no questions asked: wheat and any form of grain, dairy, corn, soy, and sugar. Those are the 5 things. If you get those out of your diet, your life will be better. You may be a little bit grumpy for a few days, 3 weeks possibly, but I challenge you all, 3 weeks, try it. No wheat, no corn, no dairy, no soy, and no sugar. Now, I always get a pushback from every single patient that I always go through this with them. But what's left to eat? No, food is left to eat. Protein, vegetable, and fruit. Now, if you're a sugarholic, if that sugar, that 5th finger of death is your big problem, then you probably shouldn't do a whole lot of fruit. 1 serving a day max. So that's usually my whole diatribe with that, but I'll go a little bit deeper for you all today. The reason why you want to pull back on fruit is fruit is in season late summer, midsummer, going into fall, and right before winter. So in winter, as a species, we were growing up as a kind of a hunter-gatherer. So fruit is there to kind of fatten us up, to pack on a little bit more around the middle so that we can, when it is, negative temperature outside and every other animal is kind of hibernating, we can actually go out and hunt and still have enough fat, plus it's insulating, and it keeps us a little bit warmer throughout the winter season. So with all of that, get those 5 things out: protein and veg, 3 meals a day, and you're going to live and feel a heck of a lot better after about a month. Again, my challenge to you is 3 weeks. So pull that off. Let me know how that's going for you, either Facebook or comment on this video. And until then, make health easy, because it really is. All right? Have a great day.